Hey everyone, welcome to a different kind of process video today. This one's going to be a little longer than usual because I'm trying my hand at something new. Hybrid scrapbooking. I haven't quite got my screens or setup perfectly figured out yet, but I thought I'd give it a go and take you along for the ride. I'll be narrating as I go, but just a heads up, this is very much a learning process for me, so you'll be seeing some trial and error along the way. If you've tried hybrid scrapbooking before and have any tips for me or tricks or ideas, I'd love to hear them, so drop a comment below and let me know what you think about how it's all coming together. All right, so let's dive in and see what we can make here. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you all throughout this process, as well as sharing my tabletop with you as I do actual scrapbooking. I'm going to be going back and forth a lot, and you'll see my photos. And then also I did my journaling ahead of time, which I don't often do, but I'm thinking about changing my process so that I do this more often, because this process was far more fun than I could have ever imagined it would be. So I have my main journaling that goes with my 8 photos that I have picked out. That's another change, is that I have far fewer photos. I have been scrapbooking in a completely different way for Project Life. I typically just take photos of lots of stuff all through the month, and then I scrapbook in 2-week chunks for pocket pages. And if you've watched my process, you know that I usually have a lot of photos, and my first problem is trying to figure out how to fit them all in and where they're all going to go. And I kind of fit my storytelling around all of these photos, but in this particular process video, you'll see that I'm changing that up quite significantly. And I'm just going to show you my supplies here. I'm starting with the stories, and I only have a few of them, and then I'm going to be working from there. So I'm actually going to print up my photos to fit my stories. Now, these are my story-based pocket card kits. Some of them are from Kelly Perky, and some of them are from Ali Edwards. I have old subscriptions to both of those kit clubs that are here. I just keep them in little baggies. I can share my process on how I store these. These are separate from my other Project Life cards, which I keep by color. These ones are by theme, so it makes it easy if I ever have a story to tell that's maybe about relaxing or something. I can just pull out the relaxing kit or whatever I might have. So I'm just showing this storage strategy, and as I look through, I'm just having a look at what the titles are. So they're all indexed with these little tabs that tell the titles of the kits. And so I am looking for something that's going to fit. I'm just showing that this was a creative memories. A close to my heart. It was a close to my heart storage container. I took the lid off of it, which is permanent. It won't go back on. It comes with a variety of different dividers, and I just have it set up so that it is these 4 different spaces to hold 4x6 cards instead of having it with some 3x4s as well. So I'm just describing that for my tiaras over on Patreon who are watching live as I film this. So I just wanted to show you that I have all of these story-specific or themed pocket page kits that I'm using. And then I'm going to look through all of the kits that I have. And the one that's going to end up standing out to me is the one called Connect. It's an older Ali Edwards kit. I'm just pulling it out there. I'm just kind of having a look at all of the different topics that I have. And of all the stories, I mean, I've already done my journaling now, so I know that my journaling does include a couple of stories about connecting. And this is going to give me a chance to use up some of this kit. I mean, you can see I had all of those kits. There's probably over a dozen of them. Some of them are newer kits that I bought recently at a sale that Ali Edwards had, and some of them are older, and I would really like to start using them up a lot more. I love these supplies, but I just don't use them often enough. So I am going through these cards here. I have doubles of some of them for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. I do have the digital versions of these as well. So if there was anything I wanted to modify, I could, although I'm not really great at those sorts of things. So I'm going to try to stick to the physical product that I have here. So I am going through the cards that I have, and this is very different than my usual process because I'm starting with cards and story ideas. I'm just going to pop the journaling up on my screen here. It's okay. I know that you can't read it, but I just want you to know that I am looking through this document, which has these chunks of journaling. I tried to space these first several chunks of journaling there to make them be about 3x4. I have a bit of a sense of how much text in my notes app can fit on a 3x4 card because I've done this kind of thing before. So now the next thing that I'm doing here is I know that I have these photos. They're on the screen so I can reference them. There are 6 photos and 1 screenshot. And I'm just using these really cheap Amazon index cards. They're 4x6, and I'm using them as stand-ins for the page so I can basically design the page and figure out how everything is going to fit before I actually print up the photos. That way I can print the photos specifically so that they'll fit in this area. Normally, I print up the photos in whatever size I feel like, and then I have to try to figure out how they fit on the page. So this is the opposite process here. You can't see that top corner of my spread, but it's basically just more of the same. I'm going to move things around quite a bit, but this just allows me to have some placeholders for my what will end up being 4x6 and 3x4 inch cards and journaling pieces there. So I've got a photo of my watch band. I also have these cards here. These are little journaling pieces that came in the kit, and I did do a little bit of listing on this journaling note as well, because I was pretty sure that I'd be pulling out some Allie Edwards stuff. And I know that a lot of her kits have places to put like 10 of this or 5 of this, 6 stories of whatever. And so I captured a couple of those, just things that were on my mind. They're like little short snappers. And so I'm either going to use that 4x6 card that's in the top left-hand side of your screen right now that has some circle spaces, or I'm going to use those circle die cuts that I had my hands on just a few minutes ago. Now this is my general Project Life stash. I have 4x6 and 3x4 cards in a variety of different colors. They're color coded, except this is a little pack of really old Studio Calico ones that are just kind of stuck in there by themselves. And so I pulled that out, opened it up, and that blue 4x6 card really spoke to me. It really fits with some of the other colors in this kit, and I wanted to not have this page look too bland. Like there's a lot of browns and blacks and beiges and stuff, so I thought pulling in that blue would work really well. Now this page is going to have a very different look from all of the pages before it in my album, and I really don't care about that. It doesn't like flow through the album. Hasn't really been very important to me. That might change over time, but so far it hasn't been, so I'm just going with it. I just do what I feel like each week. I have this photo here that my little cursor is on is a pretty silly looking photo. So I'm trying to decide if I want to have that one. First of all, I'm just printing all of my 4x6s, and I'm just showing you that process there. I'm setting it to fill the page, and I'm leaving borders on. So I'm printing with borders. Just want to make sure that I am printing that at the highest print quality. So now those 4 horizontal 4x6 photos are printed and taken care of. And then I have these 2 verticals that I am going to print at just under 3x4. So I print it at 2.8 by 3.8. And that will allow me to leave a little border around the outside edges of it when I trim those down. Now, when I print these, they do not print 2 on a page, and I'm not too worried about that. You could use an app to force it to print 2 on a page, but I just can't be bothered pulling it into another app. My Photos app on my Mac is what I prefer to use. And I use very inexpensive paper for my pocket pages. I just use the very thin Epson paper that comes with the print packs when you buy a bundled print pack. Now, this is a screenshot, and so I'm printing that one it is 1.8 by 4, and I'm not sure why I'm pausing so long on this. So here we are back to my desk, and I have those horizontal photos filled out. And remember that silly photo? I'm trying to decide, do I want the silly photo on the outside because it grabs your attention and makes you maybe want to look at the details of that? It is such a silly photo that I think I'm going to put it underneath of the come together card. But for now, I haven't decided on that, so it's going to stay out. We were getting ready for this Survivor finale, and I have a set of buffs that I take out for every time we watch a finale. Sometimes we invite friends over. This time we didn't, and Scott just randomly put on the buff as a shirt, and it looked pretty silly, so I took a picture of it. Pardon me. So as I trim those down, they immediately have spaces on my page. And this process is feeling very, very good to me. It's a very new process, as you know, if you followed me, but I am really enjoying it. I'm looking at my ephemera pieces that I have here. These are things that I hold on to. Some of them are specific to a certain week, and some of them are more generic. And so I pulled out the DAL sticker from my daughter's university program that she's in, and also another thing that I didn't end up using. So I like to have those sorts of things on hand, like the DAL decal, that can go in almost any spread. We were going to put that on the car, and then we decided against it. I think we put something else there instead. Also, my other daughter, who doesn't go to DAL, is the one driving that car right now. So it didn't make sense to put that decal on. I'm looking through and seeing these are more of this kind of timeless. And these are other things that I had printed up for other reasons. So I'm just having a look to see if there's anything here that can fill in some of the spaces, because with only 8 photos on a story, on a spread, that's really not much for me. And one of them is going to be 2 photos under a flap. So it's really just 7 spaces on this whole spread. So I grabbed the DAL Medical Science, and then the other one, the photo of Liv in the car with the cat, is a throwback photo from way back in 2019. So now here's my journaling. I just wanted to show you how I am going to do this. I'm going to do it a variety of different ways, so I thought I would just share that process with you. I use a Mac, so my word processing program that I prefer is Pages. And I have these 2 documents in Pages. I actually also have templates of them in case I ever accidentally delete them. But one is set with a page size of 3 by 4, and one is set with a page size of 4 by 6. And whenever I want to do my journaling, all that I do is I will see how I pushed all the journaling to the bottom there, and I'm going to print it up on a little sample card. So this is one of those Amazon cards, and I'm just going to play around with how this is going to fit on a regular card. So it fits really well like that. So now I'm going to, it looks like I am changing it a little bit. Maybe I wasn't happy with the margins or something. So I'm going to change it just a little bit until it looks the way that I want it to look. And then I don't know, I can't quite remember if I'm going to print another sample on another one of those Amazon cards. I'm reusing the cards that I used as my little placeholders, so I'm not wasting so much paper. But yes, I ended up trying it with different margins, and I like that look better. This is another reason to print them up in advance. I'm just showing you my how I store my printer paper. I also keep 4 by 6 sticker paper in here as well. So I have thick paper, thick photo paper, thin photo paper, sticker paper that is shiny, and sticker paper that is matte, all in that little case. It's actually a washi tape storage case from years ago from Michael's. And I've repurposed it. It fits those 4 by 6 papers just perfectly. So I ran that through my printer. I just put the card in and printed right on it. And I love how that looks. It's if I'm able to do it that way, it saves me some sticker paper. And so I really like that. The journaling here says, Liv showed up in full gardening mode and handed me this branch like it was a fancy bouquet. Classic Liv, always making me laugh. She's been doing yard work for us during the short break between university and her summer job, earning a bit of cash. And it goes on further, but you can check it out in the photos if you're interested in seeing that. So I did that, so I deleted it. Now my next journaling is this one. So it is about the spring weather. I have a 4x6 photo of the treetops outside the front of my house, and I'm just having a look at that. I am deleting part of it because it felt a little bit unnecessary. I'm going to put that in the 4x6 template that I have here, and that way I get a sense of how it's going to fit on the page. And I'm taking out more of it because it just didn't seem like it was needed. And I wanted it to be way up in the sky on that photo. And so I am going to print up a sample of that. That photo right in front of my keyboard is where I want to print this. Now I could just print that onto a sticker and like a clear sticker and just place it. But I like the idea of just printing right onto the photo. This is new for me, so I'm having fun with it. And I don't know how I'm going to decide which ones will go on stickers and which ones will go right on the photos or the cards, but I really like that I've got options, and it's much less expensive for me if I don't have to use the stickers. So that's how that one looks. It says, there's a moment every year that catches me off guard in the best way. One day the trees are still bare and gray, and almost overnight everything changes, and it goes on. So I'm deleting every piece of journaling as I print it up so that I don't get mixed up about what it is I'm doing. This is the way my ADHD brain works. For some reason, I make these silly mistakes where I might put the wrong journaling on the wrong card by accident. And so to prevent that, it's easier for me to just delete things when I don't need them. Now, I did turn on columns so that I can print this journaling in all over to the one side of this one. And I don't know if I'm going to be printing this right on the card. It seems like it might be trickier to fit it and line it up exactly the way that I want it to be. This is going to go on that card that has hearts on it on one side. The hearts are on the left, and then the other side is open for some journaling. And just because of the way that that card is oriented, I am going to end up printing this on a sticker. And it's just, I don't want to mess around with printing it multiple times because it has to be in a certain place from left to right, and it also has to be in a certain place up and down. So you see how I did that there? Well, what I think I'm going to do instead is put the whole thing on a 3x4 and just print it onto a 3x4 sticker sheet. I'm going to play around with the margins, because the 4x6 journaling card that I'm putting this on is a little bit more than half. See, it's that heart one right there. So I like how that looks. And now I'm just going to cut this 4x6 sticker sheet in half so that I have it in 3x4. This is a matte sticker sheet. I get the Avery full sheet labels. The full sheet clear labels by Avery are matte. And it's an expensive way to buy sticker paper, but any other sticker paper I have found has been shiny, even when they say it won't be shiny. So if you have a source of matte clear sticker paper that I am not aware of, please leave me a comment below, because I would love to have a less expensive way of getting matte sticker sheets. So as you can see, I just cut it down, and that enabled me to line it up the way that I wanted it to look relative to that little title that says connecting and loving. And it's just some journaling about the lunch date with my daughter, which is on the 4x6 photo right beside it. So there, we did that one, and we can delete it from both. And then I don't need this one to have columns anymore, so I'm just moving it up. I like to just leave my last journaling on there so that when I use it next, it already has words and I know how it looks. I'm afraid of accidentally deleting the formatting. I like that font. The font, by the way, is called, I think it's called Veteran Typewriter. And it's a free font from, I think the website that I use for fonts is DaFont. And then I use the font book on my Mac to organize them into categories. So I have all my typewriting fonts all in one place. I have all my handwriting fonts all in one place. Bold, and my favorites are all in one place as well. So I can find them easily. So you can play around with the size and the boldness and the margins just to get your journaling looking exactly the way that you want it to look. And if you don't use Pages, I am sure that the way to do this in Word is probably very, very similar to how it is in Pages. They're both word process. I've used them both and they're pretty similar to one another. So as you can see, it looks like I printed this up in 2 different options so that I could see how it would look. And I am deciding to make it just, I wanted to fill a little bit more of that page. So I wanted to come over that watercolory orangey look, that orangey place. And I am actually going to print this on the card. So I have run the card itself through my printer, and that saves me a piece of sticker paper again. This journaling is about matching my Apple Watch bands to my outfit. It's a small thing that I do every day. It makes me unusually happy to have my watch band matching my outfit. It's disproportionate amount of happiness for the effort that it takes to do it. So I've been taking that effort and doing it. So I took a photo of myself at work, knowing that I wanted to tell that story. And so it just shows the watch band is the same color as my pants and my sweater that day. Now I'm moving on to another journaling card here, getting all of this journaling done all at once. And I understand that the process here might not be super interesting, but I thought I would leave the process in because this is my thing. I do show the whole process. And, it might change. I might not always include this much detail when I do these kinds of pages, but I thought doing it for the first one would be pretty good. Let me know if this is the kind of thing that you'd like to see more of or you'd rather see less of. My intention is to not do this most of the time, but I thought for one, it would be good just so that you can see that my process is changing. And then for subsequent pages, I'll probably leave the printing of the journal stuff out and you'll just know that this is how I did it. So you can refer to this video if you want to see again how I'm doing it. So this is how it's coming together, and I have to say I really love how it looks. I'm not even thinking at all about my potential insert that I wanted to make with those circles and my little bits of journaling, my little quick snappers. For now, I am just having a look at this photo. I would love to add a stamp right to the very center of it. And so I'm looking through my stamp sets. I'm looking through my category called growth, and I'm looking through my category called home/everyday. And some of these stickers, that one that says my heart is standing, they're not stickers, they're stamps, but one of them is standing out to me. I'd like to put something right there. And that one that says my heart is speaking to me, but I wish that it was just a little bit bigger. And so, I do have some of these elements in digital format, but I don't love the idea of trying to print it up on the photo. Anyhow, I've just done that with the lettering and I feel like I don't want to do it again. So I thought I could spell it out with letter stickers here, the exact same phrase, my heart. And then I decided I have like a piece of acetate that I use. If you were wondering what that thing was that I was putting over my photos, I have a piece of acetate that I use to just keep my stamps from sticking to my photos as I'm figuring out designs. I ended up deciding to go with one of these hearts. They were in the kit anyways, and one of my goals here is to use up some of my supplies in my stash. So having a chance to use this heart is, really good. I could have taken one of the blank hearts and stamped that my heart stamp on there, but I decided to go with the one that says "We are all connected." I thought that was really good because it's on a photo of trees, and trees are all connected to one another. So I thought that that was kind of fun. Now I also want, since I have these hearts out, there are plastic hearts that came in the Connect kit. And I thought I would figure out if I want to use them in a couple of other places just to have that repetition going on from like all around the page. So I put one up on the other hearts beside my journaling there that says "I love connecting with you," because that's about the lunch date that I had with Sophie. And I'm just seeing if there might be a third place to put this. And I thought maybe I'll put one here on this card in the bottom left-hand corner that I think the Dal Medical Science sticker is going to go. I also have these chipboard pieces, so I'm having a look at where I might want to place some of these as well. There's one that's just a heart. That one that I put beside Sophie says "Show up, love hard, connect, give thanks, and do it again." Then I have that "Come Together" card that I think is going to end up being a filler card, and I put the "Come Together" heart on the heart to heart card there. I'll put these two together like that and make another filler card that has Liv's Dal Medical Science sticker on it. And then I have a couple of other places that I might put some chipboard pieces, but I think I have to wait till I get a little bit further along before I start deciding on those things. But in the meantime, I know I want this right here. I love how it looks on the wood wall behind her, so that's good. I know that I want this here, so let's go ahead and staple that in place. I know that I want to put this little chipboard heart. This was back in the day when the chipboard pieces from Ellie Edwards had adhesive backing on them, so I just had to peel the sticker backing off of that one. We'll staple that other heart in place, and let's just go ahead and commit to this little card as well. It doesn't need much. It's basically just a place for me to put this. I was surprised that it had this transfer sticker sheet on it. I was a little bit confused. I didn't know exactly what this was or how it worked. I was surprised by the clear sticker background of this, and then I realized at first I thought, is this transfer paper? I pulled on it and thought, no, it's not. And then I realized once it was stuck on the paper, it actually is transfer paper. So I just peeled that off so that the sticker would look better. I don't know why they used transfer paper on a one-piece sticker, but whatever. So I'm just trimming down this photo of my daughter in the car with the cat. This is a throwback photo, so it was in my Facebook memories that day, or maybe probably on my Apple memories, because I don't go to Facebook very often. But whenever one of those memories suits me, it looks relevant, or I think I might have a story to tell, I'll just do a screen capture of it so that I have it on hand in case I want to include it in my project life. Now, because this photo is from 2019, I had to go into my older roller date stamps. I did hang on to one. I pared back all of my roller date stamps quite a few years ago, but I did hang on to one of like my very favorite older one, mostly so that I could capture dates that were when I'm back scrapping, which I really don't back scrap very often. So I really love how this card looks with the tone on tone with that heart pattern from the Ellie Edwards card, and then layering it with the How We Connected banner piece of chipboard. Oh, I really love how that looks. So we'll put that down like that. And I'm going to use a roller date stamp to indicate the year. I have it already set up. It was June 24th, 2019. And that was a day that represented a bit of a turning point in our family. It just coincided with getting the cat. Maybe it was a coincidence and maybe the cat had something to do with it. I don't know. So I stamped it upside down at first, but I kind of don't care about that sort of thing. I just go back and stamp it right side up and it's all right. So I am thinking I might want to tell a story about that. I don't actually have pre-journaling done for that, but I don't think I do. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But I want to do a little bit of extra journaling on that one, and I don't really have space for it anymore. So I'm going to use one of these Simple Stories Snap photo flips. They are little plastic pockets with an adhesive strip on them. And on the back side of this flip, I grabbed a card that says, "This connection has my heart, now and always." I thought, oh, yeah, now and always. I thought that card was good because it talks about now and always, and because this is a throwback photo. I'm just looking through my stash. So I did show you my stash of general project life cards, and at the beginning of this process I took out a little stack of beige and brown 3x4 cards just to have on hand for journaling or just in case I wanted them. So that's what I reached into here, and I grabbed this one. It's almost the color of cork board, but I think it's like a brown paper bag kind of a texture, and it has the white lines on it. I can't tell you what kit this is from. It says "Remember When." Oh no, it doesn't. I haven't put that yet. It's a stamp. You'll see that in a second. I'm just saying, driving home from picking up Rocky from Rocky Lake Drive, I added that detail because that's where Rocky got his name. We had no idea how much we needed this kitty. Connecting with our fur babies has been an important part of our healing journey. So that's the card that will go in the pocket, and then that other photo flip will just get taped to the pocket above it so that it flips and hangs over. And we're having lots of chatting in this live stream. It was a super popular one. There were lots of friends gathering together to scrapbook. Some people were cleaning, some people were resting up from surgery. There was lots going on and lots of chatter. I did cut out all the parts, but one of the things that we do is we talk on and share photos on our Discord server while we're live streaming so that I can see what tiaras are up to as well. It's less of a one-way thing when we use the Discord server, and I like that. I like being able to interact with the other people watching. So here's the place where I add the "Remember When" stamp. So I pulled out this. This is from Big Picture Classes, and it must have been from a class that I took at one point. And it just says, it's got a bunch of now and then type of phrases on it for scrapbooking comparisons. And so I just grabbed the "Remember When," stamped it across the top, and it looks so much like it belongs that I actually thought that it was part of the card when I'm here narrating. So I like how that looks. Now, the one thing that I'm looking for is a kitty cat. And I was pretty sure that I had a cat stamp in the Cozy stamp set from Ali Edwards, and I was right. I'm just going to stamp that in gray so that it's soft. I didn't want it to stand out as a super bold cat. I wanted it to be like a soft because this story is kind of soft. So I wanted to match with that. So we'll put that in like that, and it adds a bit of theming to that card where it says "This connection has my heart," and then there's the picture of the cat. Now, this is the wonderful way that I am storing my old mostly Ali Edwards chipboard, but there's also some Studio Calico chipboard in there too. I find that this chipboard all has a feel like it feels like it goes together because it's all from the same two companies. And so I like storing them together like that in those trays. I did share that was part of a behind the scenes video that I did with my tiaras. So it was an exclusive one, but I will show a walkthrough of how I store my chipboard. Now, what I just did there, I don't like that. I'm going to end up changing that. But at first, and I had to sacrifice 2 of those gorgeous tabs. Love those chipboard tabs, but I don't love how this ends up looking. I've got 2 hearts here. It's just going to be way too thick and bulky. I should have known that it would be thick and bulky. I've got 2 layered pieces of chipboard, and now I'm going to layer 2 hearts on top of them, 2 wood veneer hearts. So this is going to be like 4 dimensional items all layered together, and I am not going to like it. I did paint those hearts with a white marker that I have in my stash. And yeah, I don't like that. I don't love it because it's upside down. I don't love it because it's too bulky. It's just, ugh, I don't like it very much. So I can't remember when I change it, but I'm going to change it. I think I might wait a little bit. I feel like this card with the flower needs something, but I don't want something that's going to entirely cover up the center. So I like that little black design in the center. I want to keep that because it adds some boldness to that card and it pulls your eye over there. Otherwise, I think that the flower image kind of gets lost. So I just layered a wood veneer heart on top of there, and it just gives that card a tiny bit more interest. Now we're back to this one Remember, I did my journaling here on the card. I printed it right on the card. And then I did the screenshot of Charles and Camilla visiting Canada. And I want to put something in this space right here. I wanted to say maybe speech from the throne is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go into my stash here, and these are all of my letter stickers. At first I thought I would look through these letter stickers only because these are my most neglected letter stickers of all, because they're in this weird binder. I don't like supplies that are this shape and size. They're a pain to store, and I never remember that they're there. And so anyhow, I looked, but there was nothing there that I wanted to use anyway. So let's take these green stickers. These are Kelly Perky letter stickers from my stash. And I have 2 sets of them. So I hope that I'm able to spell out the words speech and throne. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have room to put from the, so I'll just put speech and throne, and then I'll figure out what I'll do to the middle part. I'm going to work my way from both edges. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on the space between that photo and where the bottoms of these letters are, so that it's not too much of a bouncy baseline here. I want it to be mostly straight. I could line up my ruler there and just hold it in place. Another thing you could do is run a little thin strip of washi tape and then just sit your letters on the washi tape and then pull off the washi tape when you're done. Don't stick washi tape to photos that have been printed at home, especially because depending on how sticky it is, the washi tape might either leave some residue behind on your photo, or it may even pull up some of the ink off of your photo, depending on how you printed it. But a really thin piece there would work really well. So now I'm going to put from and the. I just used my pencil to spell that out to make sure that it wasn't going to be too weird looking. And I just used my handwriting for that. So now I'm going over it with my Sharpie pen, which is my favorite pen. I love my Sharpie pen. They're cheap, they're easy to get, they last a long, long, long time. You can buy them in 3-packs, and I don't think I think I've bought 1 3-pack in my whole life, and I'm still using one of those first 3. I don't know. I added one of the phrase stickers from this same Connect kit from Ali Edwards. It says Our Deep Connection, and that is referring to the connection between Canada and the monarchy, maybe, or the UK. I don't know. I don't know what I was referring to, but it's something about our countries anyways. So that card is now finished, and for some reason, yes, I took off that flippity flap. I took the heart off of the tab on the flippity flap. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to take the whole thing off because I don't like it anymore. I have this tab punch. I have 2 of them. One is small and one is less small. I'd say they're probably both small, but anyhow, I'm going to use the smaller of the 2 of them. I just grabbed another piece of cardstock from one of those beige 3x4 cards that I have sitting on my desk beside me as I scrapbook. I also have an Ali Edwards roller date stamp in my stash here. And whenever I get one of these roller date stamps, I just stamp a little sample of each of the phrases so I don't have to try to read them backwards in the moment when I'm trying to decide what phrase I want. So the one I ended up using was reflections, gratitude, and note to self. And I did stamp all 3 of those phrases on both sides of the tab. It has a real messy kind of look to it, and I quite like that. So then we will staple it in place. Just make sure before you staple one of these cards, make sure that you're finished with designing it, because once it's stapled, the cards inside will not come out. The next thing I'm doing is I am grabbing some journaling to go on one of the cards there. It's half one color and half another color, half green and half like a pinky beige color. And it says feeling connected to and feeling disconnected from. And I think I modified some of my journaling to be appropriate for that card. And so it says leaning into what grounds me, quiet mornings, real conversations, my own creative rhythm. I'm reaching for what feels true, steady, and soul filling. And then under disconnected, I put letting go of the noise, the scroll, the pressure to produce. I'm choosing to unplug from what drains me and make space for stillness, space, and breath. And so I'm printing that out onto another one of those 3x4-inch journaling cards. And as I figure out how to do that, there we go. I'm going to send that to print on a sample card. And then I'm just going to check and see if it lines up appropriately with this card. And it looks like it's almost perfect. I took away a space at the top and added a space between the two. And I think I'm going to print it up another sample maybe. Here's the other sample, and yeah, that looks great. I like that, so I'll just add my card to my printer there, send it to print one last time. I don't mind wasting all these pieces of paper. I don't find it a waste. I am using both sides of them so that it's less wasteful, but it's worth it. Those Amazon cards are so cheap, and each one is only half of a card, so. Now, I would love to find something to put along the bottom of this, and at first I looked through the Yes No kit because that's a new kit that I have. It's new to me. It's an old kit from her, but I bought a bunch of kits on sale. So now I'm thinking maybe I'll use some washi tape because there was nothing in the Yes No kit. I was going to put like yes and no or check mark and X, but I ended up going with this much more subtle version, which is using some star washi tape on a very thin strip between those two. Now I'm going to work on this flippity flap, which remember, I couldn't decide if I was going to put the silly photo on the front or inside. It's really that bright blue that is throwing me off. I don't want to introduce that blue to the outside of this. So as much as I keep thinking about, I like the idea of a silly photo being on the outside, I'm going to go with Come Together being the outside of this flippity flap. So that's what we're going to do. Now I'm going to show you a way that I'm making a 3-paged flippity flap. And this is something, it's my new favorite flippity flap option is a 3-page. So I often make a single tent card. You take a 6x8, you fold it in half, you put a photo on each side of it. You've got some room for journaling. It's basically a 3-sided flippity flap because you've got 2 sides of one card and 1 side of the other card showing. But I want to have an extra flap in the center so that you basically have 5 surfaces instead of 3, although I'm not going to be using all 5 of them. You'll see what I end up going with. So I start by looking through my 6x8 papers because that's often a good starting point for something that's going to be a flippity flap like this. So I have this, for some reason, I had a plain white piece of cardstock in here that was cut down to 6x8. And this is going to give me the base of this. So for many of my flips, this is where it starts and this is where it ends. But I want to add an extra flap, and the flap I want to be made out of vellum. So I'm just going through, this is my little random magazine holder that holds a variety of things. I have vellum, I have acetate, some of it is scraps, some of it is full sheets. I've got some thicker vellum there, photos of myself. We've got things that are cut up, acetate sheets from various manufacturers across the years. And I'm just pulling out anything that I think might work for a vellum insert within my insert. Is basically what I'm looking for. I've got a lot of printed vellum here. Some of these I recognize from planners that I've had or from other Ali Edwards kits that I've had. That is from an Erin Condren planner. And some of these are from old Scraptastic Kit Club things. We've got some Maggie Holmes vellum, printed vellum. We've got some Studio Calico printed vellum. And ooh, I really like this one. That's what I'm going to go with. So, of course, I'm going to have a look at some of the other ones. I really love this vellum with the chevron pattern on it. Love, love, love that. I, for some reason, have 4 sheets of that vellum, but I'm not going to use that today. So I will put all of those back because I am landing on this sheet right here. Now, I don't actually need this to be a full 6x8 because one of the flaps of it is going to be completely hidden. So I am saving myself a little bit of vellum here by cutting it into 2 6x6 blocks. I only need one of them, but it turns out, I don't know this yet, but I'm going to need them both. So you'll see the mistake that I end up making. This vellum is very, very, very hard to score. So, but I was able to score it, and then I burnished it with my scoring tool there. And so as you can see, I don't need the full 6 inches. That's why I cut it to 6x6 instead of 6x8. I'll take that 2-inch flap. So all that I have here is a 6x4 inch with an extra 2-inch flap that's folded behind. So took a 6x6, scored it at the 2-inch mark. Now I've got a 4x6 with a 2-inch flap. I am having a look at my journaling here because I want to copy and paste. I have 2 sets of journaling here, so I'm pretty sure that it will fit on a 4x6 journaling card because, like I said at the beginning, I kind of have a sense of how much fits on a 3x4 inch card. I had 2 parts here, so I'm just going to put them both on the same 4x6 inch piece of, I think I'm going to, because I'm not sure. Oh, I remember. Yes. So this is the problem. I want to print this right on the vellum. And I'm not sure if this is going to work. And you can probably guess that it's not going to work. But my idea is I've figured out how, there's my journaling right there about Survivor. And I'm going to run it through my journaling card. I'm not going to do a sample piece because I know how it looks. And I ran it through my printer, and my printer did not like that fold at all. I thought I might be able to just trick my printer into thinking it was just one single piece of 4x6 paper, but nope. My printer was having nothing of that. So I am going to need to do something different here. So that did not work at all. I thought about potentially using the same piece of vellum, and it's a little bit wrinkled on one side, but it's going to fold under and that's okay. But there's also some black marks where the printer kind of spit out some ink in the wrong place. So I am reluctant to use that, but I'm still hoping that I can. So this is another sheet of that Avery label paper, the blank clear label paper. And I just took a full sheet and cut it down to 4x6. I try to keep several pieces of this already cut at the 4x6 size, but for whatever reason, I didn't have it here. And so I printed that. I cut that down, sent it through my printer, and now I have a piece of sticker paper with my journaling on it. And my thought is I could put this sticker paper on that piece of vellum that I already had, but I really didn't like that black stuff on the corner of it. And so I decided I have a second piece of 6x6 vellum in the exact same print off to the side here. So I decided to go ahead and redo the whole thing. So it only took a second. It was just a matter of scoring it. I'm going to place this sticker as straight as I can. It's a little bit forgiving because it is temporary paper, like you can pull it off, but I wouldn't want to try, especially not after all that I went through with this card already. Let's just get it on there. I'm using my fingernail to just burnish it in place. You could use a bone folder as well. I would recommend that you burnish it on the other side. So I can't find my bone folder, so I'm just rubbing it with a cloth there were no air bubbles or anything, but it just has that translucent look that goes away when you burnish it down. So it just looked a little cloudy until I did that. Now I am gluing that flap to my tent fold card, and then I glue the photo on so that it covers the flap. Then I have this photo right here. Oops, I didn't glue that yet. So let's just glue that one. And if memory serves me, I think I glued that so that it was, so when you make these tent fold cards, you want to make sure that you're putting your inside photo just below the little fold. Like when you score something to fold it, it makes a little mountain inside of it, like a little ridge. And you want to make sure that that ridge is not covered by anything. So I couldn't tell whether it was covered by the photo on the top or the photo on the bottom, but something was interfering with that little ridge. It's basically like a little hinge on the paper, right? So I just need, look at me putting that on upside down. All right, so there we go. Doing it right. There we go. Anyhow, everything is fixed now and it works well and I'm pleased with it, but let's just get the stickiness off the edge of it. So I just took my powder tool because where the sticker lined up with the vellum was just not 100% accurate on the edge there. I just didn't want that to be sticking to anything. So I just powdered it up and that took care of that. I did think about using the Connect die cut that came in that kit, but I decided not to. Now we're just going to decorate this up now that we have the basic structure of this flip. I would love to put something on the wall over Jeff Probst's head. I do not know what, because there's just this blank part of the wall there. I would also love to put this you and me, and I would really love to put silly you and me on there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a word that says silly. I do have Tim Holtz's Chit Chat books of words, and I just didn't feel like looking through them for one specific word. So instead, I grabbed this card from my stash. It's just I had used it for something else on the back of it. So I just used the back of that to type up the word silly with my typewriter. As you can see, it only took a second. Sometimes we think that things are going to take longer than they end up taking. For example, with my sewing machine and with my typewriter, sometimes I don't bother pulling it out because I think it's a hassle, but that literally only took maybe 2 or 3 minutes to do. And I love that I have the word silly now that I can put on this die cut to personalize it, help me tell my story. So I'm going to use my tiny attacher there, and I don't have to cut the edge off of that because it is on the outside of a pocket, but I am going to because I don't like how it looks from the other side. Here are those chipboard pieces again in those little trays, and I ended up finding this one. It says, "Loving this story." And that fits well because it's about how we share Survivor with our international students, but also we love the story of Survivor. Every season is a different narrative, a different kind of thing that gets focused on, different winners, different approaches to play. And so, yeah, I thought that that was pretty appropriate. I do want to put something else. I feel like that loving this story is a little bare, like it needs something else. It's going to take me a little bit to find what, but it definitely needs something else. I love how it pulls in the green from the polka dotted vellum. And I'm going to, at the last minute, I decided to lower that. And I actually liked how it looked better above, like when it was fully, it had the wall behind the whole thing instead of overlapping with the TV. But it's okay. It doesn't really matter. I'm using that same Allie Edwards roller date stamp. It says, right now, in progress, and documented. And I am stamping that on both sides of that tab that I punched out of the exact same 3x4 card as the other tab that's already on this page. I'm going to put it on the side of this card. And we'll put it there, and then we'll add some staples just for reinforcing / decorating, and also to make it the same as the other one. I'm trying to decide if I want to do something about the fact that there is a white edge showing at the top of that card, but I decide to ignore it instead of doing anything about it. I added a little puffy sticker. It's an asterisk on the top of that sticker just to fill in some of that space. And now here is my spread. It is all done. Can you believe it? It is so different looking than what most of my spreads are, but I really, really love it. I just have to think about whether I want to add anything to this. I'm looking for little details and places that I might be able to put extra little things. I feel like this card with the circles on it, it says "This Crazy Life." it feels like it needs a little something. So a tiny, tiny little wood veneer star right there. These are from those Studio Calico stars that we've all been hoarding because they don't make them anymore. I love those little stars. So we've got that, and it looks like we're done for the most part for this page. But remember that little insert that I told you I might do with the circles? Well, that's going to be the next thing that I do. So I'm going to put these pages away so it clears out my space so that I can work entirely on this insert. And I really love how this turned out. There's one thing that I might add to it. I'll tell you when we get to the end, the one thing that I might add to it. So I'm having a look at the circles that I have, and my idea is to lay this out on a piece of acetate. Ideally, I would really like it on a thick piece of acetate, like a thick page of 6x8 or something like that. But I don't want to use a full piece of acetate for this because a full acetate, like the thick kind, is kind of expensive. So I'll show you a cheaper hack, or maybe not a hack, but an alternative to using the thicker acetate paper that you can get. I buy my thick acetate paper from Lawn Fawn, but you can also just rescue it from Barbie packaging or whatever. But I'm going to use an overhead transparency instead. These are certainly very durable. They're not going to tear or anything, but they're a lot more flimsy. So this page is not as rigid as it would be if I used a piece of thicker acetate. That some companies make that acetate that you can buy it in 8.5 by 11 sheets for doing on shaker cards. This is also not quite as clear as a clear piece of acetate would be as well. I'm grabbing a page protector just so that I can figure out where I want to poke my holes on this. I want it to be a horizontal page. Do I? I can't remember what I wanted here, but I'm going to draw circles on this piece of acetate. Then I'm going to poke those holes using this 1/4 inch hole punch from We Are Memory Keepers. And my second hole I'm making just a little bit bigger to give me a little bit of wiggle room. The page protectors are that way. The bottom and top holes are ovals instead of circles, so I just punch my holes that way. And now I have the acetate there. You can barely see the edges of it, but I'm trying to figure out how I might want to arrange some of these circles so that they make an interesting. At first I was thinking maybe a random pattern, and then I thought, no, maybe I'll go with a lined up design like this. So it is a 3x2 inch grid with one of the pieces missing in the bottom middle. That missing piece will hold this little heart piece of plastic. It says trusting this connection. And I'm not going to show you the entire process of this because a lot of it is just me handwriting things. But yeah, I'll show the beginning of this. So I am referring to my journaling that is up on the screen, and like it's on my computer screen, which is right in front of me as I scrapbook. So I'm not putting it on the screen to show you. It's a little bit more personal journaling, so I'm not going to share all of the details of it. But this first one is just, these are the kinds of things that I'm putting here. Sophie is getting ready for uni, and I feel everything all at once. Mostly, I just want her to know she's ready. I'm going to do journaling bits like that, and then I will come back and pick up this process. So now that I have them all journaled, I'm just going to use regular ATG, and I will let you know if it ends up being a problem. I'm being very liberal with it, so I'm using a lot of it, and I'm going to burnish it quite a lot to make sure that it has a really good adhesion with this overhead transparency paper. And if they pop off over time, I will let you know. But so far, I'm sitting here right in front of it. I can grab it and wiggle it, and the paper's not releasing from the transparency paper. So I think that that's a good sign. I'm going to add a staple to the heart just so that it, you know, I like how that looks. But first, I'm going to add the heart on the back side of it. Because it is a transparency, I wanted something nice on the back side. And so now I will staple that now that both pieces are in place. And yep, I like how that looks. Now that I have my hearts all, or my pieces all on there, the back side is just going to be the same circles, but just with different journaling on them, of course, right? So, and those hearts, they're circles, not hearts. They say memory 1, memory 2, memory 3, and they're all lined up like that. I'm going to round the corners because this kind of paper, whether it's the acetate or the overhead, it tends to be a little pointy. And so I'm just going to line these all up. I'll do my journaling and I'll be right back. So that's the end of the journaling. I have been gluing them down as I go, so it's all ready now. It has the holes punched, the corners are rounded, and now I'm just taking this clean cloth. It doesn't look clean, but it is, and I am just really weighing down on it so that there will be a really good adhesion with that adhesive. Now I would like to do a tiny little bit of decorating just to add little interesting touches to each of these. So I have these puffy stickers. I believe they're from Kelly Perky Kits across the years or months back when I used to subscribe to that kit. And I am adding little hearts every here and there. And I'm also going to grab from some of the smaller sentiments on that phrase sticker sheet over there to the left of the screen. It's Ali Edwards and it came with the connecting kit. I'm going to mess around a little bit with how these fit and where they all go. But I basically want to have some puffy hearts every here and there. And then I also want to have some of these little phrases every here and there as well. I'm going to pull out meaningful, reaching out, my people, connections matter, taking the time, and lifting up are all of the phrases that I'm using. Some of those phrases were bigger than others. I'm cutting them down so that they're not making such a big impact, and also so that they match better, because I had on the other side already used some of the smaller phrases, and so these ones are wider. They're just cut wider for some reason. So we'll put those every here and there, and then this page is done. I'm going to include the sliding it into pockets because I did get good feedback about that last time. It sounds like you guys like seeing these pages come together into their pockets. So that's what I'm doing here. This is that flippity flap. I love how it works with the two components to it there. Trying to decide if I want to back this photo with a little piece, like with a little card, but I just decided to let it float. That photo is cut a little bit smaller than the pocket, and that is okay. Now you can see how different this is from my normal style. That last style actually used more, that last spread used more Ali Edwards elements. They were some hybrid elements as well on that one. But it is a very different look, and I love it. I love turning the page and then boom, you've got a whole new style coming at you. So that's how the page looks. We're just going to take a moment to add this flippity flap right there. Sometimes I'll staple those into place, especially if they seem like they're letting go over time. So far, this one is holding up fine. That's where I'll leave you for now. This has been a long one. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end. Please leave me a comment if you have any tips or strategies to share with me or any other folks reading the comments section about hybrid scrapping or how to work digital elements into your pages. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.